We are so glad to see that you all are here, and we appreciate you being on with us tonight. We are bringing you greetings this evening. Um, First and foremost, I am Michelle Sims. I am the Guilford County Schools High School Counseling Supervisor. And then we have Shift Ed, who will later come on and introduce themselves, as well as CFNC with us today as well. And then we also have the Director of counseling as well, Debbie Benton on the line with us. And we are excited to be presenting on tonight, guys. And we are excited for you to be able to hear information about cash for college. I know that's an exciting word, that cash for college. So definitely we want you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation. And we will get started. And I'm going to hand it now over to Brandy, who will give greetings from Shift Ed.
Hello, thank you for being here, and thank you all for having me. My name is Brandy Kennedy, and I serve as the Director of Secondary and Post-Secondary Programs with Shift Ed. We are excited to collaborate to bring to you all the information to help you all prepare and find ways to pay for college. And then I'll pass it off to Tequila.
Good evening. My name is Tequila Barnes Hall. I am your regional representative for College Foundation of North Carolina. And we're going to have a wonderful time tonight. So I just want to remind you guys of some webinar etiquette. So one of the things that we want to make sure that you do is that you mute yourself so we can all have a quality experience. And of course, if you have questions as we go through the presentation, feel free to put those questions in the chat. And we have several members of our team, our collaborative partners that will be monitoring the chat. And if you fail to abide by any of these things, which I know you will not, but we do need to let you know if there's someone who is not using proper webinar etiquette, we do reserve the right to remove you from the webinar. But I'm hoping that we don't have that. So I'm sure we'll have a good experience for everyone. So I know that you guys are excited about learning, what's happening with Cash for College. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're going to cover tonight. So first of all, we're going to start off with a financial aid review. So I do hope it is reviewed. Some of the things that we're talking about, you may have heard it before, but it is always good to hear it again. Scholarship 101, types of scholarships, local, national scholarship opportunities, how to search for scholarships, alternative ways to pay for college. And we want to make sure that you know about future events. So we're going to cover all of that for you tonight. So the first thing that we want to talk about is, what you as seniors need to do. We want to make sure that you're on track. So, definitely want to make sure you know about RDS. So RDS is, online. I'm going to just remind everyone to please mute yourself. I hear a few people talking in the background. So if you would just check, I'll pause for just a moment to make sure you're able to mute. Okay. Still hear a little bit of background noise. So participants, please make sure you are muted. Thank you so much for your cooperation. So like I was saying, we want to make sure seniors that you're on track. So one of the things that you need to be doing for this senior year is doing residency determination. So in order to do that, you do need to have a CFNC account. And RDS is important because it allows you to be considered for in-state tuition and also considered for state grants. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the presentation. So you do need your CFNC account in order to go through the process. And then of course, we'll touch a little bit on college applications. And I know, Ms. Kennedy or Brandy and I have talked a lot about, college applications. So as a senior, we do recommend that you apply to at least 3 or 4 serious colleges and universities that if you're extended offer to attend a school that you really want to go there. So 3 or 4, I know some of you may have, 8 or 9 or 10 that you have applied to. And then another thing that we want to talk about is the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. And so I'm going to pause just a moment. I do hear someone else talking. So we're going to pause just a moment.
On Zoom, you can turn it all the way down.
So we'll pause just a few minutes. I hear someone else that has not muted themselves. So again, we're going to talk a little bit about the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid. And of course, that is the catalyst to getting things started. If you want to be considered for things like federal and state grants, federal loans, federal work study. So again, FAFSA opened on October 1. So there's still time to complete your FAFSA. If you're a senior and you have not done so, you definitely want to go to studentaid.gov. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So studentaid.gov in order to complete the FAFSA application. So again, financial aid 101 or financial aid review. So sometimes we have families and students are saying, what is financial aid? So basically financial aid is just money to help you cover the cost of college. And there are lots of different forms of financial aid. So when we think of financial aid, there's an umbrella of things that fall into that category. So when you get your financial offer, so those financial offers from the colleges and universities that you list on the FAFSA form will come in the spring of the year, and you're going to see things like grants and scholarships. That's what we consider to be gift aid, or money that you don't have to repay. There are loans that you as a student or parent can take out for your and we also have information that will allow you to be able to be considered for work study. So work study means that you're working a job on campus. So you cannot work more than 15 to 20 hours a week. A lot of times you're paid minimum wage. Sometimes you're paid a little bit more. So these are just some things to make college more affordable. So anytime that you see that on your financial offer that you will receive in the spring, these are things that will help you pay for your college experience. So how do you get FAFSA? How do you get information about financial aid? So of course, you must be considered for financial aid once you've done your FAFSA. So how do you get financial aid? So again, you must apply to be considered for financial aid. So the first step is completing the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid. Now you're doing it for the first time right now in your senior year, but don't forget that you will need to do it each year around the same time if you want to be considered for financial aid opportunities in subsequent years. So, sometimes we're, asked, what is a grant? So that's a really good question. So sometimes we hear the term scholarship and grant used interchangeably, but there really is a difference. So when you hear the term grant, that's the amount of money given by the government. So it could be a federal, state government, or other organizations that's helping you to be able to pay, for your college experience. So just remember, when you hear the term grant, that's money that does not have to be paid back. So some examples that you may hear of or more familiar with would be the Pell Grant. So that's a need-based grant. So the way that you're considered for that is when you complete the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid. So you're automatically considered for that. And again, that's money that doesn't have to be paid back. Another thing that, families are always asking about is, what is a loan? So loans, of course, that's money that you're receiving that must be repaid based upon the terms of the agreement. So it is going to be paid back, and also paid back with interest. So you may hear about the William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan Program. So there are need-based and non-need-based loans that students can take out for their own education. There are parent loans. So you'll hear the term Federal Parent Plus loan. So that's a loan that you as a parent can take out for a dependent student's education. So you as a parent are responsible for repaying it, even though your student is benefiting from it. Not only are there, federal loans for students and parents, there are also private loans, or you may hear the term alternative loans. So again, that allows you to borrow above and beyond what you may be receiving in federal dollars as far as loans. So these are just a few examples. I do want to say, please make sure that you're borrowing responsibly. That means don't borrow any more than you need to pay for college expenses. And just because you borrow 1 year does not make it so that you have to borrow every single year. So just be responsible with your borrowing. Again, I talked just briefly about work study. So once you complete the FAFSA, or when you complete the FAFSA, you will see information that will ask, are you interested in work study? Now, it is, a decision that you make. You can say yes, no. Um, of course, my personal opinion is that, anything that you could possibly qualify for, you want to know about it. Even if you say that you're interested in work study, when you get your financial offer from the college or university's financial aid office, you can accept or decline anything that you see there. So anyway, work study is a federal program that allows a student to work a job, part-time. So again, like I said, no more than 15 to 20 hours a week. So it could be for undergrad, it could be for graduate work. So it is definitely one of the methods that you can, use in order to pay for school. So it could be on the college campus, it could be in a community service work area. Now, again, how do you get financial aid? You must apply. So I know we said that before, but the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, is the first step in order to be considered for many of the things that we're talking about tonight. And I also want to remind you that as you're working with college or university financial aid offices, don't forget to look at the financial aid page to see if there are other forms that you need to complete to be considered for financial aid opportunities. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Brady Kennedy. She's going to talk to you a little bit about Scholarships 101.
So thank you, Tequila, for sharing all that information and just giving us a general overview of financial aid. Financial aid is all of those things that you talked about and encompasses, many people think it just encompasses scholarships or grants, but just emphasizing that those are all ways to help pay for college. So we're going to dive right into what are scholarships. As Tequila said, people often use the word grant and scholarship interchangeably, but grants are generally based on financial need, whereas scholarships are financial support that don't have to be paid back as well, but they can be based on a variety of things. So academic achievement or other criteria. And again, just emphasizing that they do not have to be paid back. So as you all search for scholarships or just consider scholarships, even if you're not a senior, some of the things to read as you consider them are, is this a renewable scholarship? So does this renew each year? Do I have to maintain a certain grade point average or do certain things each year in order to maintain this award? Do I have to be a certain major? I know there are some scholarships specifically in the state of North Carolina if you are going to become a teacher to help you pay for the cost of your education, but you have to agree to teach for X amount of years. So what are the stipulations or the additional requirements that are considered for this scholarship? So as I said, there are scholarships. You've probably heard many people say there are scholarships for everything, and there are. So I don't want you all to leave this meeting thinking that what I'm presenting to you all is the end all be all, but this is just a place to get you started. There are scholarships for a variety of things that I'll mention, some of which I won't be able to mention today, but this is just, again, a small step to get you started. So some of them are merit-based. So merit-based scholarships are generally based off your merit. So they're based off your academics. They may be based off your GPA. There are also some scholarships that are based off financial need or status. So they may say, if your family income is less than a certain amount, or if you qualify for a Pell Grant after completing the FAFSA. So these are some scholarships that are based on financial need. Additionally, throughout the community, you'll find many community organizations that offer scholarships. And so this isn't just limited to organizations, for example, like Shift Ed, who provides scholarships for GCS seniors. But you can also look at your local church if you're involved in that, local places that you volunteer. all of those things that are within the community, places that you may have interned, sometimes they'll have scholarship opportunities. So make sure you are looking at those opportunities and staying connected with community sites, even on social media, to hear about their scholarship opportunities. Of course, we've all heard of athletic scholarships, and scholarships of different varieties, depending on which type of institution you attend for athletics. And then there are identity-based scholarship that may be based on some of the identities that you hold. So some of them may be based on your race or based on your country of origin or whatever that may be. So be sure that you are on the lookout for those as you begin your scholarship search. Lastly, I really want to emphasize the employer-based scholarships that many of us don't think about. I know when I was in high school, I worked at a fast food restaurant, and I didn't know. I ended up finding out that they offered scholarships for those who were employed there, and also those who parents or guardians may be employed. Sometimes your employer may offer scholarships. So make sure you inquire about those things, especially within your senior year or even leading up to your senior year, just to be aware of those scholarship opportunities. So as I mentioned, there are scholarships for a variety of other things. There are also scholarships for your involvement in specific clubs. So I know many of you all are involved in clubs within your schools and within the community. So there may be a scholarship for students who are a part of the National Honor Society, for example. So make sure you are looking out for those. Tequila, feel free to add anything if you like.
I think that you did a good job, uh, with the things that you mentioned. I do want to also just encourage, families and students to not only, look at, information that you see locally, and some of the things that you mentioned, Brandy, but also for some of the college and universities that you're interested in, I will say that a lot of times they're posting things on their social media pages that you might want to follow. Also for CFNC, we're constantly updating things about, how to pay for college, how to get career college ready. And, of course, the month of November is National Scholarship Month. And one of the things that I also want to make sure that you guys know is that we do have a monthly scholarship for seniors, and I'll put it in the chat. I don't know if we included that, Brandy, but it's a no essay scholarship contest. It's a monthly scholarship opportunity for seniors to be considered for $1,000. So there's so many things out there. I also tell you that there are some financial institutions that are local, where if your student is a member, they can be considered for scholarship opportunity. So I always tell families, look everywhere to see what things are available. And most importantly, you don't have to pay anyone to find out information about scholarships.
That was a great addition, Tequila. I didn't think about your local banks. Actually, when I was a high school senior, I banked with True Lion, and I had the opportunity to get a scholarship for them. So make sure you are checking out the bank that you are banking with or your parents are banking with. As Tequila said, you can extend your search beyond locally. You can extend it to be specific to the school you're going to or you hope to go to. You can expand it to also be based on the county that you live in. We'll talk a little bit later about the CFNC scholarship search tool, but it offers an opportunity for you to personalize that to look specifically for you locally. But I wanted to talk specifically about Guilford County and some of the local scholarship opportunities that we have here. So here again, as I mentioned earlier, I represent Shift Ed. And Shift Ed, we not only provide support services to help students as they transition to college and or their careers or credentials, whatever is the best fit for them, but we do provide scholarships for students attending 2 and 4-year colleges. Later on in the slide, you'll see a little bit of information about our upcoming scholarship information session where you can learn more about that and our criteria, but that is a local scholarship opportunity that Guilford County Schools. So if you are attending one of the public Guilford County schools that you can apply for, actually coming up December 1st. So that'll be coming up. Also, I really want to highlight the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro and also High Point, that offers a variety of scholarships, which have criteria ranging from the major in which you want to go to even just which school you go to. So make sure you take a look there and register for their scholarship portal. The dates range depending upon which scholarship you're applying to. So make sure you check that out. Some of them have already opened and some of the dates have already passed, but don't worry, there are many scholarships. Also, we have the State Employees Credit Union, People Helping People scholarship that offers a $10,000 scholarship for graduating seniors. So make sure you check that out, or talk with your counselors about the opportunity to be nominated or considered for that. And lastly, I want to highlight the Kellen Foundation, which is a local scholarship opportunity focused on mental health advocacy, and they provide scholarships. So make sure you check those out. As I said, this is not an exhaustive list. Make sure you check out local fraternities and sororities and local churches and other nonprofit organizations. They often provide scholarships, but these are just some of the ones that can get you started. Tequila, did you have anything to add?
The only other thing I want to say, we're getting really close to second semester. I'm so excited about that. But don't forget, I know a lot of students will apply for scholarships, in the fall, but don't forget there's still opportunities in the spring. So in the spring, you'll see, some of your civic groups that may, start to offer awards that you didn't see in the fall. So keep looking for those opportunities. I'm trying to think what else. I also want to just add, guys, sometimes scholarships can be, small. They don't have to be large. So sometimes there are $200, $300 scholarships. So I am putting in the scholarship that's $1,000, but I don't want you to think that only look for scholarships that are high, because if you get enough, small scholarships, they can equal a big pot of money. So don't forget about those opportunities. The only other thing I'll add, Brandy, if it's okay, is that, when you're applying for scholarship opportunities, it's important to know if this is a renewable scholarship or if it's one time. If it's one time, you're going to get it only that time. But if it's renewable, make sure you take the time to understand how you can get it again.
All right, so we talked a little bit about some local opportunities. And again, as Tequila emphasizes, not too late to apply. Some of, particularly the ones I mentioned on that slide, I know still have application cycles that are open, but these are just some of the, some national scholarship opportunities. As I mentioned, that the list goes on and on. This is just a place to get you started, but these are just some that are popular and still have deadlines that are either coming up or looming. So the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation is something you could check out, not only for students who are applying for their first time in college, but also transfer students. So if you have a older sibling or an older child who is thinking about transferring, they also offer a transfer scholarship. The UNCF College Foundation offers scholarships for a variety of identity-based scholarships. So make sure you take a look at that. And some of them are specific to attending historically Black colleges or universities. So make sure you check out their site. We have the Coca-Cola Scholars Program, which is a national opportunities that honors student athletes. So it isn't like a full athletic ride, but it, as Tequila said, is a small scholarship that can help stack up and accompany some of your other scholarships. And you also have the Burger King Scholars Program, which is a scholarship opportunity. Like I mentioned, please make sure you're checking with your employer or local employer, or even just a lot of the restaurants and fast food chains in general for scholarship opportunities. Sometimes you do have to be employed there. Other times you don't. So I know Taco Bell has a national scholarship opportunity. So just make sure you are just doing your research and as I would say, we Google everything else. So make sure you're taking the opportunity to even Google. So if it's scholarships for students interested in nursing, or scholarships for students interested in a career in STEM, just make sure that you are taking additional time to do that research. So here, now we're going to talk about some ways like searching for scholarships, because I know that that can be overwhelming. So I want to highlight one of the resources and tools that the College Foundation of North Carolina has that I really like. And I talked about a little bit earlier in the presentation, because it allows you to personalize sort of your experience. So if you see here on the left-hand side, I've checked Guilford County. And if we were able to scroll down on my screen, you would see a variety of scholarships that I qualify for solely for living in Guilford County. You could also go on to help narrow down the specifications based on your own criteria, and that will help tailor your scholarship search. And you could even just throw something in a search tool if you just don't really know where to get started. So I really recommend you just hopping on CFNC site and looking up their scholarship search tool. Again, remember that this will be specific to colleges within the state of North Carolina. Tequila, feel free to add anything since this is you all's resource.
Yes, and so you know, this is something that you're not just using in the senior year, but please continue to use the scholarship search once your student is in school. And of course, one of the things I want to throw in there is some of the scholarship, groups will say if it has to be used specifically at a North Carolina school, and some of them may not specify. So just, pay close attention to that. And so we definitely want to invite you to look. And, I was on a meeting today, and we had another scholarship group that is inquiring about adding scholarship opportunities on our website. So it's a great tool. Feel free to take advantage of it.
I'm sure you all didn't think that when you created a middle school account in CFNC that you all would be continuing to use it. But believe me, it is definitely a great resource and tool for you all to use as you prepare and plan for college or your next steps. Sorry, I'm not sure why my PowerPoint is being funky. So then Tequila talked a little bit about this earlier, but make sure that you are looking directly at the college or university's websites. This is a screenshot specifically for North Carolina A&T University here locally. And so this is just their scholarship page. But if you see on the left-hand side, they have a variety of different scholarships. They even provide you with some outside scholarships that you can look at. So that's one way to begin your search, even right there. They also provide, as you see, provide scholarships for first-year students, and they give you dates and deadlines. So this is a great way. Go to your specific school site. If you're looking at a variety of schools, then yes, I'm going to ask you to visit all of their sites. So I know UNC Charlotte has a very great scholarship search tool on their site as well. So most schools have a page. It may be up under their financial aid page, but generally speaking, most places also have just a search bar on their site. So try to utilize that, or just utilize Google and it'll direct you to the page. But going directly through here, oftentimes, even as a returning student, you can find out about scholarship opportunities. A few more ways that you can continue to get scholarship resources: connect with your high school counselors. Your counselors, many of them have Canvas pages, many of them have actual scholarship newsletters that they have out. So make sure you are following them on social media if they have a page. Make sure you're staying connected with them, because many of them and many of the scholarship opportunities are sent to the school or announced there. So just make sure that you're staying connected there. We talked a little bit about this as well, but also inquire with your employer or your parents' employers about scholarship opportunities or tuition support that you may be eligible for. Connect with local community organizations, for example, such as fraternities and sororities or other civic groups that may offer scholarship funds. Even if they are a small amount, again, they can stack up and you can use them to help fund your education. Tequila, did you have any other ways that they can begin looking for scholarships?
I think that you covered the bulk of the ways that I would, definitely recommend or suggest. Um, I think one of the things that students sometimes forget is that when we're asking you what you want to study or what you want to major in, that's a really good way to find scholarship opportunities. I know some students may be undecided, but if your student does know what they want to study or major in, don't forget there's opportunities out there. One of the things that we have for College Foundation of North Carolina is our North Carolina Forgivable Education Loan for Service. So that's for students who are interested in um, nursing. We need nurses at all levels, allied health. We need more people in education. And so I'll make sure I put that in the chat as well. So those are some opportunities that are out there. And then, of course, I think that opens up in January. That I'll make sure I put that in the chat, that web link. For you to get the money, it is forgiven. There are 100 counties in North Carolina. It doesn't matter which one that you decide to work in.
Well, thank you, Tequila. The last thing I would add is really stay connected on social media. Tequila talked a little bit about it earlier. I know even specifically at ShiftEd, we highlight a lot of our offerings and our opportunities on our site and on our social media sites. So staying connected on social media is very important. And many of the admissions, institutions, and financial aid pages often highlight scholarship opportunities and advertise on social media. So they're trying to meet students and us where we are. So make sure you all are helping them help you and staying tuned into that information. So make sure you do a quick follow. Sometimes they even have like if you are going to be a first generation college student, they'll have specific pages to help support you for that. So make sure you're on the lookout and just looking through their social media sites to stay connected.
Brittany, can I just chime in for just a few other pieces? So I also want to remind you, there's just so many different awards. I feel like I could just keep going on and on. There are lots of awards out there too, like one of the ones that'll be opening up next semester is that's for Guilford County and a few other counties is the Aubrey Lee Brooks scholarship opportunity. And so that's an amazing award that is not only helping, with, college expenses, but they also give a student a stipend for a computer if you want to, work on a research project, you can study abroad. There's just lots of things, but of course, the FAFSA form is essential. The other thing I want to talk about too is, different clubs or organizations that your students might be involved in. Sometimes that might be an opportunity to be considered for awards. I know there are some scholarships out there that want to know if your student has been involved in things outside of their curriculum. So it's important that, even if it's not a long-term commitment for your student, getting involved in the community, volunteering, or whatever, being parts of clubs and organizations, scholarship groups, do want to see that. And so, and even some scholarship committees want to see that students have completed the FAFSA or the free application for federal student aid. The only other thing I can think about because I know that some college and universities, as far as the admission process, are test optional, but there are still some scholarships out there that do like to see a SAT or ACT test score. So there's a few other things. I'm trying to think of anything else, Brandy.
Yeah, I actually thought of something. So, in addition to yes, the SAT and the ACT, so I think that that's something that we can definitely discuss. I know that we have seniors on the call, but we also have a variety of other grade levels, and so I know with the test optional that has been in place for the past few years, it can be easy to just say okay or forfeit taking that, but it's a great way to get connected to other scholarship opportunities, and some scholarships may ask you to submit a score. I know that all juniors will be taking the ACT in February, so prepare for that. ShiftEd will be hosting a SAT, ACT prep course to help you prepare for that. So make sure, again, you follow us on social media. But that's one way to get connected to scholarship opportunities. And then one last thing that I thought about that is not the FAFSA, but is another way for some institutions require you to help capture your financial information and get you connected with other scholarship opportunities is the CSS profile. And so this is through the College Board, the same site that you register for the SAT. But some schools or scholarships will ask you to complete a financial profile of the CSS. And that is just going to ask you some, it's very similar to the FAFSA, ask you some additional questions about your income and your family income and tax returns to help see if you can qualify for more scholarships. So make sure that if the schools you are applying for are a part of that list, then you that you connect with that. And I can't place it in the chat right now because I'm sharing my screen, but I can share a list of institutions. If you just Google CSS profile list of institutions, they literally have in alphabetical order or even by state, all of those institutions. But I could also place that in the chat here shortly. So I know we've thrown a lot at you today, but we really want to just emphasize that there are multiple ways to pay for college, grants, loans, scholarships, work study, savings plans, however that may look for you. We also want to emphasize that there are other ways. So sometimes, let's be realistic, you may not, let's say that you get $9,000 worth of scholarships, but the cost is $10,000. So there's an opportunity that many institutions require for you to create a payment plan that makes it affordable for you to still be able to attend school. So that may be something if you've exhausted your other means, or just don't even care to take out a loan that you may consider you and your family. Also, we have the Parent Plus loan that Tequila talked a little bit about earlier. Parents, this is a loan that you would take out on the behalf of your student to help fund their education, and it is subject to credit approval. You can find out more information about that from the FAFSA website as well, but that is an option that some parents use because students are only eligible to take up to $5,000 of federal loans a year. You may consider personal loans or banking loans to help fund the cost of your education. So that may be something. And then Tequila also talked about opportunities in addition to the NC Teaching Fellows that allows you to get tuition support and help support your cost of college, but in turn, you are doing service. So Tequila was talking about serving in various other industries, but this one here on the screen is specific to being a teacher and to increase the demand for teachers, not only in the state of North Carolina, but specifically in Guilford County. Tequila, feel free to elaborate on other ways to pay for college. I know that some of you all may have savings plans that you all have had since you all were little. So that may be something you consider or think about as you are applying to school or thinking about the cost of college as you get your financial aid packages back.
Absolutely. And so, of course, a couple things I want to throw out would be, some of you, like she talked about, ways to pay for college. You may have an NC 529 savings plan, or it may just be a 529 account. So don't forget 529 plans that could be used for a two-year institution if your student's considering. It could be, a four-year public or private institution. If your student even gets, other scholarships to pay for college and you don't need the money you saved for, through a financial savings plan like 529 or another savings vehicle. Don't forget, you may have that money that could be set aside for, graduate studies. But, savings plans can also be used, for things like, books and maybe supplies. Your student may need a computer. So definitely it's an alternative way to be able to pay for college. So even when your student gets to school, it doesn't have to be just you saving, but graduation is right around the corner if your student's a senior. And a lot of times people don't really know what to get your student, for college. I love when people say, "Hey, put money, in their 529 plan," or, "Hey, here's a list of places that they want, things for to help, help them, I guess you say decorate their dorm room." I love things like that. But, like Brandy mentioned, there are lots of different things. I also just throw in there, she talked about payment plans. Those are great. They're interest free. So if you don't want to borrow, it is an option. Sometimes families don't ask, if the school offers a payment plan. I always tell families to still ask about it, even if you think you don't need it. So interest free, you just usually have to pay an enrollment fee to participate. My advice to you is if you are seeking out the payment plan through the college or university, is that you start when the plan starts, so you don't have to play catch up. But it does give you opportunity to look at several different payment plan options to find out which one is going to be most comfortable for you regarding your budget. But you know, other ways, I don't know if we touched on this, Brandy, but when we think about alternative ways to pay for college, some people decide that they want to go into the military, and it is an alternative way to be able to, pay for college.
Tequila, as you were talking, one thing that I thought about, even those who are not seniors, but who may be earlier on in their high school career, is thinking about the opportunity to get college credit for free and in an indirect way to pay for college, but to get college credit for free by taking advantage of the Career and College Promise program and partnership that our school district has with Guilford Technical Community College. So that's a great opportunity for high school students to earn dual credit or to have dual enrollment. So make sure, I know there are some webinars coming up. Maybe Michelle can drop that in the chat. Or you could even look on the Shift Ed page. I know we've posted about it recently. So just make sure you are taking advantage of that opportunity as well while you are in high school to help reduce the number of courses you even have to pay for as you transition to college. So that's something I thought about. So you can get creative with this. There are so many ways and avenues and paths, and there isn't one way to do it or one order to do it in. But just make sure that you are on the search and being creative about how you'll fund your education. Um, so as we wrap up today, we really wanted to highlight some upcoming events. As I mentioned, the Shift Ed Scholarship Information Session is going to take place on December 6th at 6 o'clock. During that time, you'll have an opportunity to learn about the scholarship model and eligibility criteria for that scholarship. So make sure you register at shifted.org /opportunities. If you can't think about that right now, just follow us on social media, and we'll be continuing to post it over the next few days. Please keep in mind that for seniors, so for graduating seniors, graduating from a public Guilford County high school, December 1st, our scholarship application opens for consideration. So you'll have until July 1st to complete that, but just letting you know it does open. So if you want to wait until after our information session to fill out your scholarship, that's completely fine. Just want to highlight that. And then next, there are some upcoming opportunities for CFNC events. Be on the lookout for some of the events. You'll often see myself in Tequila throughout the community and throughout local high schools. But make sure that you're following them on social media, but also looking at cfnc.org /events for upcoming events surrounded around searching for scholarships, completing a financial aid application, and a variety of other topics. And Tequila, feel free to add anything specific to CFNC if you like.
No, I think that's pretty much, all that, I had to share. I will say this though, right now you'll see a lot of our fall offerings, wrap it up on CFNC, but we do have some other opportunities that are coming up for spring semester, some that will be for underclassmen, so not just, seniors. So be able to look out for that information. Actually, I believe next week, we have a webinar for underclassmen, so be sure to look at that. So we want to make sure that you're considered for all the things that you can and know all the ways that your students can be career and college ready. Brandy, I do want to say we do have a few more questions in the chat that
Okay, I
we
can't
might
see
want
them.
to.
Let me make sure that as we prepare to answer them, we know that as we advertise, we want all attendees to not only complete the survey to give us feedback, because we're going to be doing some offerings in the spring, and we would love to hear from you and how helpful this webinar was for you, but also to be entered to win a chance for a prize if you have completed the FAFSA, and we will be able to verify that information. So make sure you're being honest. Parents, if you're attending on the behalf of your student, please use their information. So when they ask their GCS ID, you could just use their GCS lunch number or their name. So we ask you to complete that survey as we address some of the questions and concerns in the chat. And again, if some of you all have to hop off, thank you again for joining. We will have the session replayed on the Shift Ed YouTube channel within the next few days. So again, be on the lookout for that, and be sure to follow us on social media. Please use the QR code here. It links to a short survey. Again, we want your input and we want your feedback as we continue to offer programs to meet your needs. And I'll stop sharing my screen so we can focus on it's well, I can't see the chat, Tequila. So if you want
I can read it out to
post some
you.
of them out so people can use the QR code.
And I'm going to apologize in advance because I was typing as fast as my hand could go. But one of the questions that we received is, Brandy, you mentioned a scholarship that has a December 1 deadline. Do you recall which one that was, or which ones those
Yeah,
were?
so it isn't a December 1st deadline. Specifically, I was speaking on the Shift Ed scholarship, and it opens on December 1st. So you haven't, it's not open yet. So don't worry if that was what you were referring to.
Okay, let's see. It looks like we have another one. Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's the exact question, but scholarship for GTCC middle college students. So I'm not sure if they're asking, can they apply, or is there something specific for those students? I'm not sure if that person is still
Okay,
on.
yeah. If you have any questions that are specific to the Shift Ed scholarship, please shoot us an email at scholarship@shifted.org. I will get that placed into the chat here shortly. I hope I'm gonna give you all a minute or two more to complete the survey, but I'll place that into the chat if you are a middle college student. Again, you won't be able to register until December 1st. So if you tried to register and have trouble, that may be why. But if you have additional concerns, make sure you shoot us an email and I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay, we have another question. Can you apply for specific university scholarships? Oops, something happened to my chat. Hold on, Brandy. I lost it, so I'm sorry. Can you apply for specific university scholarships ahead of receiving admission? Meaning if you applied to several universities, but you have not yet heard back if you were accepted, and it wants to know, can you apply for scholarships at those schools?
Yeah, so some of them, if they're for entering freshmen, they sort of understand that you're also up under consideration for admission. So you would apply for those. And sometimes after you're admitted, they'll invite you to apply for certain ones. So just make sure again you're visiting our school site and sort of reading the criteria or process for it. So I know specifically for some like the Cheatham White Scholarship that applies to North Carolina Central and North Carolina A&T is for incoming first year students, but that application process has already passed and been open, but it's for incoming for first year students. So just make sure you're reading the criteria. And if you all give me just a second, I'm going to place a link to the survey in the chat.
And while she's doing that, I just want to mention that a lot of times, if you reach out to whatever respective colleges that you want to attend, then there are scholarships that sometimes the financial aid office at that respective college, there may be some scholarships that they have. So sometimes you have to ask, because sometimes they may not solicit that information, but if you ask, they'll be willing to share that information with you. So that's why I strongly encourage students to connect with that financial aid office to explore different other scholarship opportunities. Also, I want to mention that on December the 1st and or 8th at 6 p.m., Guilford County Schools will be partnering with GTCC, and what we have a career and college promise workshop coming up. So that is for students that, are juniors and seniors wanting to take college courses and get college credits on the GTCC campuses. And if you have questions about the Career College Promise Program, please reach out to your respective counselor. But we do have a workshop on December the 1st and 8th at 6 p.m. I did put the link in the chat to register for that lovely event, and food will be served as well.
All right. Let's see, Brandy, I did have another comment here, and this may be specific to, I think, is you all scholarship. Someone's son had to attend the NC Virtual Academy for 10th grade because of COVID. Does that disqualify him? He has been in GCS or Gilbert County Schools every other year.
Yeah, just for our respect of this space, I'll drop our email in the chat where you can email those specific questions about our Shift Ed scholarship. And we'll also be having our information session. That'll be a great place to bring all of those questions on December 6th. I've placed that in the chat. And in just a second, I'm also gonna place the actual Google form link. You all have asked me to put the QR code, but for those who can't access it, I'm gonna drop the actual Google form link here for you all. So I've placed that in the chat, so you all should be able to access that there.
And the workshop at GTCC is for students and parents.
We have a question about Say As Guilford. Say As Guilford has transitioned to Shift Ed. So again, if you want to tune into our scholarship information session, we'll be happy to walk you through that evolution in our revamped scholarship model that more equitably serves our students here in Guilford County.
And I know there was a question in the chat about what is RDS. RDS is the residency determination certification. And what that does for students is, say, for example, if a student is applying to a college in North Carolina, that allows students the opportunity to determine whether or not they have to pay in-state or out-of-state tuition. So that is something that is for students that are going to be going to a college in North Carolina and want to not have to pay that out-of-state tuition because they know they're not an out-of-state student, and they would need to fill that out, and they would get what they call an RCN number once they complete that, and that number is something that they would need to keep with them. So they do have to keep that number with them because it is very important that they keep up with it, just kind of like they keep up with their social security number. But that is something that they need to complete if they want to get that in-state tuition.
Yeah, so as many of you applied to colleges, you may have hit a standstill as you have not been able to proceed until you complete the application. That number will be used to ensure that you are considered, if you qualify to be an in-state resident, which at public institutions can impact the cost if you are considered out of state versus in state. So make sure you all are definitely completing that. It does require some demographic information that you and your parents or guardians will need to sit down and complete, but make sure you're reading that application thoroughly and reading the words and not just sort of guess it on there, because it will take into consideration how you answer the question. So just make sure you're being thorough with that.
And I also just chime in that make sure when you go to the RDS site, it is powered by CFNC. So students sometimes think that they need to create a new account. They are using their CFNC credentials in order to do the online interview. If for some reason your student is not getting in-state, in-state determination, then I will tell you that your student can go through reconsideration. And so it's a process. If your finding that you have lots of RDS questions, just call our customer service center and someone will assist you.
And Brandy, did you, you may have hit on this as well, but they're asking, is there still Say Yes Guilford?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Say Yes Guilford has transitioned to Shift Ed. And so we are excited about that change and excited to be boldly accelerating student potential. If you'd like to hear more about our scholarship model changes or just our additional program offerings as we've expanded our services and transitioned our name, not only visit our site and follow us on social media, but we'll be having a scholarship information session on December 6th at 6 p.m. And I'll put the link in the chat for you to sign up for that. And we will address all of those changes, but we are excited about our scholarship model changes that more equitably serve our students who need it most here. So we have transitioned and we are on to bigger and better things.
Brandy, I also see lots of questions asking about scholarship opportunities for juniors and how can they be considered for merit-based or academic scholarship opportunities. And so, of course, one of the things that I want to say is, I know we're getting close to the end of our session, but, and feel free to just add anything else, Brandy. So there are some awards out there that could be for students younger than senior year. And so, what I often recommend that you do is there's lots of websites. It's not just one website that you can go to, but there are many websites that are out there. And, you can Google. You can also talk to your school counselors. They have a wealth of information. Look at some of the, scholarship bulletins that may be out there, or some schools might even provide information about scholarship opportunities, electronically. Talk to your high school counselor. Sometimes they're getting things that are coming across, their desk constantly or emailed out. So, that's definitely a way. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Brandy, but definitely there's merit-based awards or need-based scholarships. There's scholarships out there for many different things, but you will see that the bulk of the scholarship opportunities will be for seniors.
Yeah, so sort of elaborating on what I put in the chat. I know sometimes when students take the PSAT, if they have a specific score, they may be flagged or considered for some really large national merit-based scholarships. And so that's one thing that I can think of. But outside of that, most of them are for high school seniors who are transitioning to college. But I would keep in mind that like all the scholarship opportunities we talk about, typically they're offered each year. So I would just be keeping note and making sure I take a look out for the dates for next year when those things come back around. So don't feel like, it's too early or, oh, I don't really have anything to do. Like capturing this information sooner can help you just expand your search and get a better timeline or personalized timeline to know what application, scholarship application cycle opens and closes. Lastly, I saw that there was a question about some internship opportunities specific for high school students. I know that many organizations in the community are often looking for volunteers. So check out community organizations and make sure you check out, even with your high school counselor. I know sometimes we partner with local institutions to have interns and mentors. So just make sure you're checking out those listings and connecting with your high school counselor so you aren't missing out on those opportunities and service learning opportunities that you can use to help personalize your high school diploma before you graduate.
Brandy, I don't know if you already addressed this, but we have someone who asked for the survey information again.
Okay, let me refine the link and I'll place it again in the chat.
And I just want to reiterate, if you are a senior and you have not completed your FAFSA, please make sure that you go on and complete your FAFSA, because it's very important that you do so, because that is linked to the Shift Ed scholarship model as well. So please, and the sooner you do it, the more money that is available out there. The longer we wait, of course, the money will start, deplenishing. So definitely we want to make sure that you complete that FAFSA as soon as possible. And it opened on October the 1st for seniors.
And again, I want to emphasize, not only do we want your input to complete the survey, but this will also be the way in which seniors, you are entered for an opportunity to win the incentive for attending our event and for learning more about ways to help pay for college. So thank you all again for being here today. As I mentioned, this video will be available on YouTube in the next few days for you all to come back and look at your leisure. It will also be available on the Shift Ed site. So at shifted.org/opportunities, I can place that in the chat again for you all. But again, thank you all for attending. Please follow us on social media, Tequila. Everyone, if you don't mind placing your handles in the chat so that if people are able to access your pages and stay on the lookout for the upcoming sessions. We threw a lot at you all. We have the upcoming career college promise sessions, the upcoming Shift Ed scholarship session, some upcoming CFNC events. So just make sure you all are taking advantage of all these opportunities. So social media. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. For social media for CFNC, if you want to follow me, mine's Tequila at CFNC, so Instagram and Facebook. But if you're looking for, holistically for our parent organization, I mean, we're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I think we're doing TikTok now. And so, I mean, just about any platform that's out there, we have a space. So definitely make sure you're following those things. There are some things that you'll see on our social media pages that may not always be on our website. So you want to look at the website, but you also want to follow us on social media.
All right. Well, thank you all again for tuning in. I hope that you all have a good evening, and please be on the lookout for some of our spring offerings. We are excited to, I know as Tequila said, the offerings may slow down as we walk into the holiday break, but just being excited to understand that it's not too late to continue to search for scholarships, to complete the FAFSA, and we will pick back up right where we left off in the spring. So thank you.